Now, where the Philippine Stock Exchange Index kicks off trading at above 73.23, with just a day to go before the Bangko Sentral policy decision and Fed Chief Janet Yellen's speech, how will investors trade? Let's get a preview from Warren de Guzman at the trading floor in Makati. So how are we looking set up for trade, Warren?
Hi, Kathy. We've been seeing some sustained volumes here at the PSE, so it's a very promising sign. Yesterday, the volume was at 7.7 billion from just 7 billion the day before, so activity is picking up despite the fact that foreign investors have been net sellers year to date. So again, people are trying to look for catalysts, and what we're looking for really right now is a lot of the corporate news that we've been getting. We've been getting, of course, a steady diet of those 2016 full-year results. And one company in particular, Ayala Corporation, has been releasing some information on its energy arm, AC Energy, with some acquisitions there. Very interesting. And we're joined by Mr. John Eric Francia, President of AC Energy, to talk about that. Eric, good morning.
Hi, Eric. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kathy.
All right, so let's talk about first the recent acquisitions, the new companies, AC Energy Devco and Visayas Renewables Corporation. What do these companies bring to your portfolio?
Yes, Warren. AC Energy is in the midst of transformation. No? So we used to be a locally focused investment holding company, but over the next 4 years, we intend to transform into, number one, a regional company with investments in countries like Indonesia. Number two, we are delving into development and operations as opposed to just investing with partners. We want our own capability to develop and operate power projects, especially in renewable power projects. And then we're also into retail electricity. So it's transformational set of years for AC Energy. So the Bronze Oak acquisition is a critical piece of this. They are one of the leading developers in renewable energy, having almost 200 megawatts of solar projects under their belt in terms of development operations, as well as biomass. No? So we thought that folding them into our platform is a great opportunity for AC Energy to participate in a much bigger way, especially in renewable energy. As you know, we've announced our new target. From 1,000 megawatts of installed capacity, we targeted that for 2016. We've actually met and slightly surpassed that. We're now setting our sights for 2,000 megawatts of attributable capacity by 2020. Part of that is our target of reaching 1,000 megawatts of renewables. We're now currently 1,300, of which 300 megawatts is renewable energy. We want to more than triple that to 1,000, and this acquisition will definitely help us scale up.
Eric, Kathy here in QC. Just looking more broadly, I mean, it's a transformational shift that you talked about in AC Energy, but G20 finance ministers dropped the mention of climate change as they did free trade in their joint statement. With this new development, what now for the push for renewables in the Philippines? What impact do you see it having in plans to scale up renewable investments?
Well, Kathy, it's happening. This renewable energy revolution is happening not only in the Philippines, but around the world and in the region. No, and Philippines, definitely, it's on the one hand, you've got this policy push to green our grid, and on the other hand, it's also the sheer economics. No? Renewable energy is increasingly becoming competitive. Solar, as we saw recently, is already competitive at the grid parity. Obviously, there are challenges in terms of scaling up renewables. 1,000 megawatts of coal, for example, can be replaced by solar and storage, but you would need 5,000 megawatts of solar capacity to displace 1,000 megawatts of coal. So it's going to take a long time before replacing coal and natural gas, but it's going to happen, perhaps decades. But over the next 5 years, we foresee a lot of investments in renewable energy.
Well, obviously, you guys are betting heavily on renewable energy. Your mix is 50-50.
Well, that's our target. Right now, it's closer to 75-25, but we certainly want to target a 50-50 mix by 2020.
And of course, the question for the investors who want to get into your company here at the PSE is, how does that translate into profitability and earnings contribution to the mother company?
Yeah, well, renewable definitely will be a source of growth for us. The margins in the power sector have somewhat compressed over time. Part of this is the lower cost of capital, and another part of this is just sheer competition, which bodes well for the consumers. As you can see in the market, offers right now with a slight oversupply. We were discussing this earlier, Warren. the big winner here is the consumers. Consumers are getting much more competitive prices, especially those who are enjoying the open access. And again, renewables will be expected to become a major contributor in the energy mix moving forward.
Eric, you've made a mention of Indonesia. AC Energy also expanding overseas. You've acquired the geothermal assets of Chevron in the Philippines and Indonesia. And you've also got your first wind project in Indonesia. When are you breaking ground?
Yes, we already did, Kathy. So those are two major milestones for AC Energy in a span of a few weeks between each other. So this year we officially broke ground on our wind project in South Sulawesi last January, early January, and then we expect to that wind farm is expected to operate roughly in a year's time, so first quarter of 2018. So we very much look forward to that. That's the first commercial wind farm in Indonesia. On the Chevron geothermal asset, we expect to get to financial close in the next few weeks. So again, that's an exciting platform for us to be investing in. We already signed last December, but we expect to reach financial close in the next few weeks.
So which other overseas assets are you eyeing, and which part of the ASEAN?
Well, definitely we want to expand in Indonesia further beyond these two assets, number one. Number two, we are beginning to look at other markets as well. Vietnam seems interesting. It's still early days. We're still studying the market and the opportunities. But definitely we'll take it one step at a time. I think it will take time for us to consolidate our presence in Indonesia, but perhaps in the next 12, 18 months, hopefully we'll be in our second regional market.
And one more question regarding the local market, though. How long do you think this slight oversupply will actually last here in the Philippines?
Yeah, that's the big question, Warren. If you look at Luzon, we're okay. We just have a slight oversupply, around 18% of reserves until 2020. There's just enough power plants being constructed to maintain that balance. The big question is what happens between 2020 and 2025. You've got Meralco, a bunch of power purchase agreements that they signed up, and it's now being discussed in ERC, in Congress, etc. So everyone's watching what will happen to that. That's over 4,000 megawatts of supply that these contracts represent. No? So if all of those get built, then this oversupply will increase in the early 2020s. But if only some of them get built, then we may have some challenges as well. And the big thing about power is you need to build 3 to 4 years ahead of the actual demand. Power plants don't get built overnight, so obviously you need some runway for that. So we'll be watching closely in terms of those developments, Warren. But over the next 4 or 5 years, I think we'll be okay in terms of that supply-demand balance with oversupply in Visayas and in Mindanao. But I'm pretty confident that demand will catch up over the next 2 years to take us to equilibrium.
Well, hopefully we continue to enjoy first the lower power costs. Thank you so much, Mr. John Eric Francia, President of AC Energy. Meanwhile, Kathy,